Hello, I'm Alison Faulkner, Director of New Initiatives at the National Trust for Canada. I'm here with my colleague Nancy Wright, who is a fundraising advisor for the National Trust. We're pleased to present today's webinar, Building a Successful Fundraising Plan for Your Historic Place, Setting Timelines, Financial Projections, and Performance Measurements. This webinar is the third of a three-part series that will help you chart a course for success as you build and implement your fundraising plan. It's one of many Regeneration Works learning events funded in part by the Government of Canada. Today, donors have many causes they may choose to support. In the heritage sector, we're up against high-profile charities in education, the arts, healthcare, and an array of social services. Often, these organizations have fundraising programs that are well-staffed and resourced. It can be daunting to compete with them, but we can compete if we choose the right strategies, use our resources effectively, and set a course for success. That's what a fundraising plan can do for you. In this webinar, we'll talk about establishing a timeline for your fundraising plan, setting revenue and cost projections, and choosing key performance indicators to tell you how your plan is doing. Just before we start, let me quickly introduce you to the National Trust for Canada. We are the only national charity in Canada leading and inspiring Canadians to save and renew places that matters. To learn more about our programs, visit nationaltrustcanada.ca.
So let's begin. Establishing a timeline for your fundraising plan will help you keep everything on track and force you to think critically about the ideal times to schedule your fundraising strategies. Just remember, you aren't working in a silo. If your organization doesn't already have one, building a calendar of activities that everyone can share is a great exercise. It helps the right hand know what the left hand is doing. When you have the overview of the entire organization, it's easier to plot where your fundraising strategies fit in. You might schedule your annual appeal for March, a strawberry social event in June, a Giving Tuesday crowdfunding campaign in November. Look for opportunities to dovetail with other activities that are planned. Think of one of the larger events you host at your historic place. Is there an opportunity to incorporate a fundraising strategy with it, like a silent auction or an appeal from the podium? Or is that a time when staff is too busy preparing for the event to take on any additional work? Look also at what's happening in your community. If there's an annual drive, like a United Way appeal that happens at a certain time of the year, that's not a good time for you to launch a letter appeal. If there's a summer festival or farmer's market, is there a fundraising opportunity for you, like having a bake sale or an information table where you can promote your project and collect donations?
Once you've identified your fundraising strategies, set your SMART goals, assigned roles, and established your timelines, it's time to set your revenue and cost projections. Start with the financial goal you have set for your fundraising plan. Next, break your revenue down by possible sources. How much of your revenue will come from major gifts, donation appeals, special events, or crowdfunding? Do you anticipate receiving any grants from governments or foundations? You may have one source of revenue, or you may have many. It depends on the strategies you picked. Here's an example of how the revenue sources in a $100,000 campaign might break out. Next, set your cost projections. Estimate the cost of all the possible disbursements you'll have. You don't want surprises that throw your budget off, so look under every rock. Costs might include staff, mailing of donation appeal letters, production of fundraising and communications materials, staging events, advertising, or database management. Be careful not to underestimate staff time. I'm speaking from experience here. Nonprofit organizations are really great underestimators. We'll talk to you in a moment about how important it is for you to measure your return on investment, known as ROI. But remember, a lower ROI can be okay in some cases. If you're just setting up a fundraising program or planning to increase your fundraising capacity, there will be upfront costs, and a lower ROI would be acceptable in the early stages of your plan.
Having done all that work to build your plan, if you don't know how it's performing, it's like working in the dark. You'll need to develop a set of key performance indicators to help you measure how your plan is doing. Key performance indicators are such a critical part of your fundraising plan. Because they are tied to your plan's goals, they tell you if your plan is working. They save you from wasting precious time and resources, and they help keep your plan on track. Regular reviews of your key performance indicators will tell you if you need to make adjustments to your fundraising plan. Are you missing your targets? Are you over budget on costs? It's better to know early in the game when you can make adjustments than to wait until the end of the plan. And key performance indicators aren't all about money. You can use them to measure how your donors and audiences are reacting to your communications material. You can use key performance indicators in several ways. A typical fundraising plan spans 3 years, so you can set year 1 as a base to track improvements over the next 2 years. Use key performance indicators to demonstrate to donors the impact they have when you achieve your goals. As an example, you did a crowdfunding campaign and exceeded your $10,000 goal. You had 3 stories in your local media that raised your profile, and you gained 250 new Facebook followers. These are great impact measurements to share with all those who donated during the campaign. Use key performance indicators for your annual report as a clear demonstration that you are achieving your goals. Remember, an organization's annual report is an important document, not only for your organization, but for your supporters, potential donors, and the public as well.
For your overall plan performance, the big number, the one your board and donors will look most closely at, is your return on investment. If you raised $100K but spent $90K doing it, that's not a good ROI. Your ROI for each fundraising activity will differ. Events with their high costs and risks will have a lower ROI than an e-appeal with its minimal costs and risks. But at the end of the day, that overall ROI tells you how efficient you've been in achieving your financial targets.
For each of your fundraising strategies, you will set key performance indicators. If one of your goals is to grow your donor base, you'll measure the number of new donors you have gained. If a goal is to increase your donor retention rate, then you'll measure recurring donors. Performance indicators for letter appeals will include the response rate and average gift. For e-appeals, you'll measure delivery, open, click-through, and page completion rates. Events are about creating public awareness and new audiences, so measure things like media reach, hits on your website, and the number of new donors.
Remember, it's not all about counting money. You need to know if your communications to donors and potential donors are working. For your website, measuring things like visitors and unique visitors, referrals, bounces versus exits, and conversion rate will help you do that. Measuring the most viewed pages will tell you what your visitors are attracted to on your site and can help you craft messaging for your appeals and major gift asks. Google Analytics is a good free resource to help you track this data. If your social media goal is to increase engagement, the number of your Facebook likes is good to know, but it will be more important to know the number of shares and click-throughs. And with Twitter, measuring your hashtag traffic allows you to identify audiences that align with your cause. You can get to a real level of complexity if you have the time and resources that use social media to track the communications effectiveness of your fundraising strategies. For example, when you held that event, did traffic on your website increase? Did you gain new Facebook followers? Were your tweets shared?
How is your donor base growing? Notice I said how is it growing, not is it growing. It's less costly to keep a current donor than to find a new one. So it's not enough to know the number of your donors. You'll want to know your retention rate. How many of them are recurring donors? Watching the patterns of how your donors give will help you design your appeals. If your donors don't have a good track record of online giving, then e-appeals aren't going to be effective for you. But a goal in your plan might be to increase online giving. At the National Trust, we use a combination of letter appeals with email follow-ups and social media. It increases our response rates and our online donations. We all want to get to the day where we can ditch those expensive letter appeals and go electronic, but only if we know our donors are willing to follow us. Sometimes key performance indicators tell you things aren't working out the way you planned. It happens. Don't beat yourself up. Remember, you're on a learning curve. Learn from your experiences, make adjustments to your plan, and move forward.
Thank you for tuning into our webinar. We hope we got you thinking about setting your revenue and cost projections and planning how to measure your plan's performance. Be sure to check out the other webinars in this series for more topics on building a successful fundraising plan. Looking for more? Enjoy the many tip sheets, blogs, case studies, and learning events available at regenerationworks.ca. All of these resources are designed to help you improve the vitality of your historic place. Thank you, and good luck with your fundraising.
Getting ready to fundraise, section 3, end.